social media and stuff, and I've been organising this event. And the book has been published by Synergy and Light, which is run by Susie Hogan, who is here tonight. And of course, our author is Samantha Elmhurst. So yeah, I would like to now invite Sam, author of A Cat in Hell's Chance Lucky Story, to the stage to read from the book.
Okay. Right. Hi, everybody. It's so lovely to see you all, and faces, and that I can put names to. Right. The first part of this book, I'm just going to read a few paragraphs. This is when Beverly first meets Misty. So this is before she meets Lucky. She was a beautiful little cat with the most stunning and mystical blue eyes. She had a slender body, which made me think perhaps she had some Siamese in her. And there was something definitely quite pedigree about her. And thinking that I had gained her confidence, I reached out in an attempt to stroke her. She was gone in a flash, running away into the night. I went back inside, quietly sliding the door shut as I heard Lucy stirring. And sleep had finally caught up with me. And as I laid back on the pillow, the last thought I had was the sight of those piercing blue eyes, and I wondered what secrets might lay behind them.
So, as you know, this book is about the story of Lucky. Lucky is a very special cat who was rescued from the streets of Corfu and is now living her best life in Jersey with Sonia and now. So, Sam, I want to ask you firstly, what inspired you to write this book?
I think the inspiration was drawn from the fact that you had two complete levels of humanity, the whole spectrum. You had the very base, horrible things that some humans were doing to cull the cats in Corfu, and not just Corfu, but a lot of Mediterranean countries. Some unscrupulous people take it on themselves to cull the cats. And then the opposite side, where you had all this love coming in and all these strangers to each other who wanted to help a holidaymaker who nobody knew. She was a complete stranger, and putting money into the GoFundMe pot to get a kitten over from Corfu to her forever home. So it was just the complete black and white, the light and shade of the whole story.
So yeah, I think it really shows also how the internet can do a lot of good. Like the internet is a very vast place, but it was through the internet that Lucky's story was shared and that the GoFundMe was able to be pulled together. You know.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's another example of the internet can be a really bad thing, but it also can be a really good thing. I mean, as you know, I've adopted a Corfu kitten, and I found her on the internet. And then this morning, I was reading a lovely post. There was a little kitten over in Corfu about 3 weeks ago, called Little Casper, and he had a hernia, and the vet thought that it was likely the hernia burst ruptured because it had been abused, kicked. So we pulled together, we raised a little bit of money for funds towards veterinary treatment. And this morning I saw this lovely post that Casper is doing well, survived the operation, and in his forever home now. So it's things like that which you wouldn't see in the newspaper that quickly. So again, like the book, light and shade.
Absolutely.
And
These beautiful stories that are similar to Lucky's story, they really do show the goodness in humanity and how strangers can be the kindest people. I think as well the book shows the importance of helping the animals on the island, because Corfu is such a beautiful place, and we want people to be able to go there and enjoy themselves and see the beauty of the island instead of having it almost spoiled by seeing the sad situation that exists there.
Well, yes, I mean, I know that a lot of people have said, "Oh, I'll never go there again because of the state of the cats." But for a little island, especially these days, which has suffered economically, And the animal welfare charities, especially Agni, are doing all they can to make sure that the cat population is controlled properly through the sterilisation. And you have lone volunteers out there who are making sure that the cats are fed and taken care of, and if they need vet attention, then people will do their best. So they're trying to make a beautiful island beautiful for the cats too, which is important.
Wow, that's
Especially now.
really well said. Like, it's a beautiful island, but they're trying to make it beautiful for the cats as well as the humans.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. And one such charity that's doing work there is Agni, and we actually have Angela from Agni here this evening. So very big welcome to her. She is the founder, and um, Sam decided to include an interview with Angela in the book. So why did you decide that would be important to include?
If it wasn't for the fact that it was based on a true story, then it would just sound like a lovely book. But I just really wanted to give some facts at the very back of it, just to give the book more gravitas, to be honest, and to introduce an animal welfare fund that was working really hard for the tourists as much as anything else. And I've included a day in the life of an animal angel over there, so you can see what they're up against. And I just thought it'd be really nice just to have the complete holistic viewpoint. You've got a tourist viewpoint in Bevan Luce's rather, and you've got the Agony at the end with the interview, and it also shows you the adoption process if you wanted to adopt abroad. And we have Angela's endorsement as well on the book, which is worth its weight in gold. It's lovely, and
Absolutely.
it's very nice to be able to actually get their story in print with this book too.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that just shows why it's so important that this story be shared, because it's showing. I mean, before I read this book and before I started working with you, I had no clue of this situation. And so it's raising awareness of that, and it's showing the absolutely heroic work of volunteers and of charities, and of how that we can help, through donation, volunteering, and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a very, very important story to share, and I really think it's brilliant that, as you said, you have all those different viewpoints within it. Yeah.
I was scrolling through the Agony animal welfare pages on Facebook, and saw this tiny, tiny little ginger kitten who'd apparently been either dropped, kicked, whatever, and limping badly. And one of the ladies over there, her daughter had found this kitten screaming in the middle of the road, and they'd posted up a photograph just to say what had happened. And obviously this kitten was going into foster care now, and would anybody offer a forever home when the kitten was okay to travel, and as long as it recovered, blah blah blah. But anyway, long story short, this picture just spoke to me. I mean, I've got 3 cats of my own. No way did I ever envisage having 4. I didn't want 4. I mean, I love cats. I'd have 40 if I could, but I had to be sensible.
I have 4.
Well, and so, but this, as I say, this picture just spoke to me in such a strange way. And so that evening, I messaged Agni just on a private message. I was just interested to know how they were managing to locate cats abroad in a pandemic. And so Angela wrote back and said, it's through land travel. Was I interested? And I didn't reply straight away. And I went outside, and it was warm, and the honeysuckles in full bloom. And I just thought, honeysuckle, I think I'll call her honeysuckle. It's a really nice name for a kitten. And then this little voice inside my head, hang on, you've just given this kitten a name. Does that mean you're interested? So I went back inside. I was like penning this text to Angela and then backspacing and like, shall I, shan't I? Because once I say yes, I'm interested, that's it. I'm in.
That is so sweet. And again, like the fact that you were writing a book that was set in Corfu, and about, like, streetkins in Corfu, and then ended up finding out that you had ancestry in Corfu, and then you ended up getting your own Corfu kitten.
I
Like,
know.
it's really magical, and yeah, and I think that that demonstrates the incredible work that Agni do. Like, so cool that you could like track her like all like literally across the world. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah, 1,600 miles.
Wow, 1,600 miles. So yeah, that really does put things into perspective of like how heroic the work that Agni do is. I
Yeah.
mean, getting an animal like, wow, it's truly incredible. And have you always been into cats? Like, have you did you have cats growing up and stuff, or?
I did, my earliest memories is having kittens and cats and
Mhm.
just surrounded by them, to be honest.
Yeah.
Um, and they were all named after the Aristocats. And, I had a really lovely childhood, but, I love reading and I love listening to my Disney long players. And I had the long player album of the Aristocats, which is two sides of the story as narrated by Rockford Holmes, who's the mouse in the Aristocats. And I would just like sit there in the armchair with kittens on my lap, and it was just idyllic, completely in my own little world. That's probably why I ended up writing a book, because own little world. My sister said to me a while ago, at last, you can step out of that imaginative world of yours and put it on paper.
Yeah,
That imaginative world that you live in has paid off. So
exactly.
I digressed horribly then. Yeah, I've always had cats and kittens.
Yeah, and you enjoyed like rescuing cats, didn't you? Is that right? Am I
I
recalling correctly?
did, I mean, the thing is, a lot of them didn't need rescuing. It was a question of walking about in our little street in London, me and my sister and some friends, and finding a little cat and thinking, you must be so lost. But they, if they had a collar on, we'd take them back, blah blah blah, or my mum would point out that cat has got a collar on, Sam. It's all right.
So, if there's one thing that you'd like people to take from your book, what would it be?
Well, it's a cliche, but it's just the fact that, you can rely on the kindness of strangers for something like this. I mean, it's a bit of a lame answer, really, but just the
All.
faith
Mm.
of it all, and the hard work that these charities are doing over in Corfu and other hot countries where
Mhm.
cats and dogs are culled
Mhm.
because there's apparently too many of them, that help us out there. And it's not all lovely, and there's some, there are non-survivors, won't go down that route, but
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
think, yeah, from the book, that it is possible to home from abroad, and yeah, as I say, have faith.
That's a really wonderful answer. I love that.
Hope
So,
so.
so does anybody have any questions for Sam? If so, Susie, I will give it to you.
Yeah, no, Sam. So when you were writing, was it, how did it feel to be writing about? So, as you know, I'm also a writer, even though I've gone into publishing, but and all of my characters are fictional. So, how was it writing about a precious creature that is real and that you can still follow the progress of this wonderful little being?
it's it's a bizarre feeling, to be honest. I mean, to get all the information, I asked Beverly to. I posed some questions to Beverly because I said, basically, I'm going to ghostwrite the whole story. So, and she sent me back about 10 sides of A4, of what happened. And obviously, that's just a brief outline to fill, a book with, what, 280 odd pages. And I tried to put myself in her shoes. So I drew on every summer holiday I'd ever had, every experience of cats and kittens in a hot country, and the feeling of really despair that you couldn't actually take them all with you and go home with them. Um, so, and the fact that these are really living creatures still, and you're writing about someone's life, and the, Lucky and Misty, it's a strange feeling, because I'm one person, but I'm also myself doing it. So it's almost like an out-of-body experience. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. No, because I found it really quite interesting because this beautiful little cat Lucky is still very much present in the world, where we're not reading about a cat that is no longer here or is made up. It's actually a real little creature. So I really liked that. I thought that was really quite fabulous that, you know, we can still touch base with Lucky if we want to. Now, there is another question that popped up here in the chat. Have you got plans for another book, Sam?
Do you know what? I would love to write another, but now I've really got the feel for it. It would be nice to write Honeysuckle's story, but so many people know her story. So I have got it's a non-cat book. It's a pony book. It's just about all my strange, bizarre, silly things happened growing up with different ponies, and everything from entering winter pony competitions and just bizarre things, really. But that could be a second book, but I think probably people want another cat book.
Oh, I don't know. I like the idea of a pony book. That was from Sam.
That was just so important to get the book out there, so that people maybe can still have that experience.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. I really I remember telling you in one of our first meetings, I had read a book when I was younger called A Snowflake in My Hand. And it was about somebody that would take in cats that had feline leukemia. And it was those last year to a few months of their lives. And I read that book at 11 years of age, and I am 49 this year, and it never left me. So that's the power of a story with an animal. And I really, really liked your approach with this, because there was this wonderful journey of Bev and Lucy having their own awakening through the lens of the heart and the lens of really wanting to save these cats. And that was really magical. I really, really thought that was a fabulous way to dovetail these separate stories, and it was beautiful. So I love that. Somebody's asked here, Sam, did you say you compose music inspired by your story?
I haven't composed music inspired by my story, but the weird thing is, because I really wanted to use music for a lot of the promo clips we did, and I obviously, you know, I'm going to breach all sorts of copyright, so I thought, I'll use my own. And strangely, they worked for the clips I was using. There's a song called Drawbridge, and at the end it goes on, nobody thought it, I can't remember now, nobody said it would be easy, and it's got quite haunting, ethereal lyrics at the end. I just thought, yeah, nobody said it was going to be easy to do what Bev did, to do what these animal angels do, but they do it. And so that fitted. And then the introduction music, which you heard earlier, that sort of really exciting music, I thought that would be really good for our book launch, you know, getting ready for the launch. So I haven't written music for it, but the music has kind of lent itself to another use.
Beautiful. I love that. And we've had a question for Tracy. Who's the little cat in the background? You'll have to unmute if you want. Otherwise, you could pop it in the chat.
Yeah, that was Rocky.
Oh,
Rocky.
Rocky.
He'll be back.
Rocky, yeah.
Wow, I love how so many people here, I mean, we're all clearly animal lovers, and I love how even the audience have rescued cats. It's wonderful. So I would love if Angela from Agni could maybe say a few words about the work that Agni does. So Agni is the charity that is mentioned in the book. At the end of the book, there is an interview with Angela herself, which is incredible. Agni is a charity, a UK-based charity, and it operates in Corfu and helps the street cats there. So Angela, if you'd like to say a few words about Agni and about how we can support you, you can unmute yourself there.
Hi, can you hear me? Is that okay? Well, we started about 16 years ago, having bought a house in Corfu. We had friends there, so we were sort of a little influenced with those to do it. But I hadn't been there very long before I thought, I can't live with this situation. I'd never had any involvement with cats in my life. I've never owned a cat. My parents never had cats. They didn't really like them. But the situation in Corfu was just unbearable. And I don't like animals suffering of any sort. And we intended to try and help all the animals on the island, but we found that the cats were getting less help than what the dogs were. There is other charities there working quite hard for the dogs, but the cats seem to, I think the number of cats help, the fact that there's so many of them, a lot more so than the dogs, and it's just an impossible task when you look at it. So that's when we started helping them, when people started saying, you know, these cats need neutering, and so people started offering us money, having neutered the little cat that features on our Facebook page and our website page. We'd already helped her, and she had been neutered by some German people who visited the island and did some neutering, just went around and grabbed a few cats from different areas and sterilized them. And this one had been done when we found her on the beach. She wasn't in very good condition when we found her. It was the middle of winter, and they neutered her, and they were just returning the cats from where they come from, but nobody was making sure that they had food or they were being cared for. So that's where it started. And because people got to know about Effie, we called her, they then started offering money. Oh, well, we'll pay for one to be done, and we'll pay for one to be done. And so we started neutering the ones around us. We had lots of opposition, and we had to be very careful with the Greek people because they're not educated to neutering cats. They must have thought I was weird and strange. I think they still do. But that's how we started off and came about, because the cats were all around me. The charity sort of slowly grew and grew and grew. One of the first places that we really concentrated on, where we did have offer of help from the hotel there, was in Kalami. And that's why Chris is there looking after the cats on the beach, because those cats are some of the first ones that we did. And we actually one year neutered every cat in Kalami. There was not one cat in that village that wasn't sterilised. That, of course, people started dumping, and so each year we get new kittens come in. So there's more and more. And after that, it sort of grew and grew, and one or two people started coming in to help, like Vicky. We were concentrating, we were mainly in the north of the island for quite some time, working up there for several years. So it was really only our area that was getting any help. But these things take a long time, and things started to spread and spread and spread until one day I was asked by a French lady who'd been to St. George's in the south if I would go and collect a kitten and take it to a vet. This vet had agreed to have this kitten. So I agreed to go and fetch it for her, although it was a long way to go to fetch this cat. So I didn't really want to have to travel all that way. But she sent pictures, and the kitten was very, very small, very tiny. I thought we must go and help it. So we went and collected the kitten, and I picked it up, and I was pretty horrified at how many cats there were at the bins. And then we picked the cat up. I found another one under the bin that was even tinier than the one I'd been sent to collect. And we couldn't leave that there. It was so small, he would never have survived. So we brought that one back with us as well. And that one was eventually adopted. But it was when I came back that I realised that I didn't know anybody in the south who I could speak to about these cats. And so I put a post on Facebook and asked if anybody in the south could would be willing to help with these cats if we supported them and tried to raise some more money. And that is when we started in the south, which I felt was very successful. The people down there worked very hard. A lot of their visitors have tremendous support as well in the south. And I think they've done very well down there. And that, of course, is where Rocky came from. I think Pam had Rocky, didn't she? And the pictures at the airport, which I've seen so many times because we used to go along ourselves, taking them to put them on the planes. And, you know, a lot has happened since those early days when we first started. And I don't know what's happened, but over the last 2 years, and especially this year, whether it's anything to do with the fact that people couldn't go there for the last 12 months, things have just grown and grown and grown, and everything is so busy. The poor volunteers out there, I feel really sorry for them this year because they are inundated with kittens and they can't get them away. We can't offer them. That's why there's not many being offered up for adoption. It isn't that they're not there. They are there, but we've got trouble with Brexit. So there's difficulties with the transport. The visitors are not there like they are normally. So there isn't the people to adopt them. Many of them would go back to Germany and Holland and Belgium with the European visitors. And I don't think they have got so many European visitors as they would normally have. So they're in a very, very difficult position this year. And that is why they're overrun with the kittens. I just hope it will improve and people can go out there soon so that they can at least get a bit of a season to help, because the visitors have been a great help. And when you talk about the strangers that help, it is absolutely amazing, the people that want to help them and donate to help them. And we really appreciate that because we can't do it without the money. This year we've had the biggest vet bills I've ever had since we started. And we just couldn't do the amount of work they've done without the support of these strangers who don't really know us as individuals, that they put their trust in us, and we try and do our best for them and use their money wisely. And we try to make sure that nearly all the money that they do say goes to the cats. We try and avoid paying unnecessary fees for anything. But the charity works quite well. We're UK registered, so we answer to the Charity Commission, so anybody can question anything or look into how genuine we are. And that helps. And of course, because we're registered, the tax office help us by the gift aid donations. And we've had a big increase this year in income so that we've been able to do more, which has been fantastic. And we have to thank all those people that donate to us. Like you said, many of them are strangers. Many of them keep in touch and write to me and Dawn and Vicky when they've fostered cats and that have gone out for adoption. Lots of those people keep in touch with us, and that is absolutely great. I write to as many as we can. But it's getting a very busy job now. So I spend a lot of time answering emails and doing the admin side of things. But it's, in a way, that's good because I can't do so much of the physical work because we're here, we're stuck at the moment. But I can't physically anyway, because as the years have gone by, I find it not so easy to hump cat boxes about and cat traps and things like that. So I'm really pleased that there's other people volunteering to do that work, and I can just get on with the admin work to keep the charity and keep the funds coming in.
Angela, that is absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. How can we support you right now? What can we do for you?
Well, donations are always needed to pay the vet bills, and at the moment, because of travel difficulties, not only the travel difficulties, this is to do with Brexit. I posted out some calendars earlier in the year, and they took 3 months to get to Corfu. I think it's deliberate, because there's people really trying to make life difficult for it in the UK because we left the EU. So I daren't post anything out. Otherwise, I'd say, you could send me things, anything that for the cats, but I can't get anything out there at the moment. So we're a bit stuck. If people are going themselves, they can take things. Wormers and flea treatments are what are most needed, desperately. We do pay the vets to do it out there, and the volunteers are able to get drugs out there that we can't get. We used to be able to buy antibiotics, but they've just put a stop to that. But because the vets know what we're doing, they'll give us the prescriptions to get them anyway, but I have to pay for them. But if people wanted to take any out for the volunteers, that would help them. And anybody who can go out and help the volunteers, they really are desperate this year. They're really struggling at the moment with this influx of kittens because they just can't get them away. And when the visitors go, obviously we find more kittens than we do in the winter. The wintertime they don't breed so much anyway, but the visitors are all over the island, so they're on holiday, they're not working. So when they go in places, they're sort of wandering around more, and they see them. Then they see the cats in trouble. So we do get an awful lot more work because the visitors are finding a lot more kittens, and of course the volunteers haven't got that help this year. So anybody who's going who wants to help them, they would be happy. People would drive them about, help them pick the cats up and that, but you often need traps out there to get the cats.
If someone wanted to volunteer, not saying it's me, but I would love to go to Corfu and help cats. Say one of us did want to do that, what would we do? Would we just email you and inquire about it, and then
if you're going out to Corfu in a certain area, the best thing to do would be for me to put you in touch with the volunteer, a volunteer that's in that area, and see what they're doing at present. I mean, there would be times, normally in the summer, the volunteers have to combine this with work. And sometimes they can't do an awful lot other than sort of go and feed the cats. And they can't do a lot of neutering. A lot of neutering in the summertime, the cats go into the hotels and the properties, and that also prevents us from getting access to the cats. But sometimes a visitor can get access to it if the cats are in their hotel, and they can help us. But as I say, a lot of the volunteers are working, so they can't do so much in the summer. They do find the summer a bit of a busy time. During the winter months, we organise mass neutering, and we try and neuter them in bulk when nobody's working, and it's easier for the volunteers to catch the cats and bring them in, and then we do big neutering sessions. Usually around February time before they start breeding. So that helps. But other ways, you just have to, depending which area you're going to, see who's there and what they're doing at the time. And if there's anything you can do, you can often it helps them if there's people to run around for them. If they've got a cat and somebody else can take it to the vet because they're working, that helps them a lot as well. But I think they're more in desperate need of help than what I am at the moment.
Yeah. So I've included the links in the group chat, And I will also email the links out to all attendees. So you can visit the Agni website and also the Facebook page, and there are links to donate there. And if anybody is interested in going out and volunteering, you can contact Angela via the details that are listed on the website. So, you know, the advice really is everyone just needs to go on holiday again. And, you know, thank God in our part of the world, things are opening up again and travel will be a bit easier. So, yeah, hopefully things continue to improve. And yeah, maybe I'll see some of you in Corfu soon. Who knows? Angela, thank you so much for telling us all about Agni.
That's okay.
Everyone, let's give Angela a round of applause. You can say it can be a silent round of applause.
Thank you.
Now I would like to ask Susie, because about setting up her own independent publishing company, Synergy and Light, because A Cat in Hell's Chance, Lucky Story, is the first book published by Synergy and Light. So yeah, Susie, I'd love for you to tell me about that, and also tell me a little bit about how everyone can get their hands on the book.
Perfect. Well, I set Synergy and Light up as a publishing company because last year I published my own novel because I had been going to publishers and I'd been getting decent enough feedback, and I was just something still wasn't sitting right with me. I'm a very independent spirit. I was like, you know what? I want to do this myself. So I had gone through all of this struggle, but when it was done, it was so amazing. And I thought, God, I really want to do this for other people. I want to be able to offer this service and create a sense of ownership. So like Sam knows now, she wouldn't even need me next time around. Just to create this idea of your book is something that needs to be, it's like a baby, and I really felt like these babies needed to be born and then sent out into the world with the mother very firmly attached, not a publisher leading where a book is meant to go. And I know you don't get the same platform like you would with a big publisher, but I feel like for books like, say, my own or Samantha's, it's a wonderful way to get stories out there that I really think people that want to read them will find them. That happens because people talk. And if it's a good book, people will talk, people will recommend it, and then people start looking for the author. So I feel like given its own wings, a book will fly. So that's where Synergy and Light Publishing came from. And then people can get the book in paperback at the moment via Amazon. Now, it is available worldwide. However, because it's they print on demand, this is the little bit of a technical side with Amazon, it won't necessarily be available in every country. So for instance, Australia has only just allowed print on demand. So my paperback is finally allowed, it can be available in Australia, whereas before they could only access the Kindle. Sam will have her Kindle available by the end of the summer. So that's the next stage. Now I'll be working on the Kindle of the book. And I have your PDF, your beautiful full color PDF for all of you here tonight, ready to go. So I'll be sending that off hopefully this evening. If not, it'll be tomorrow, but it's beautiful. I really was such a delight to see that unfolding. People read what they want to read, and that's my goal, is to get books out there for people that just want to read stories that make them smile and light them up. So yeah.
Amazing. So now it's time to give Susie a round of applause, a silent round of applause. That's incredible. So yeah, like Susie said, everyone will be getting a full color PDF of the book emailed to them. So yeah, you can read Lucky's story for yourselves and see all of Sam's beautiful illustrations in full color. And then if you'd like to get a paperback yourself, you can visit Amazon. And if you have any questions at all, you can reach us through either the Facebook page, the Instagram page, or you can email synergyandlight@gmail.com. So we are going to have a final reading now from Sam.
Could you just give me 1 minute to open the blinds because it's suddenly got really dark in here?
Yeah, go open the
Do you want me
blinds.
to- 1 minute.
Yeah.
I thought you were just being ambient there, Sam.
It really means a lot to myself, I'm Leah, Sam, and Susie that you all have supported us with this book. Because I'm an independent publicist. I've only recently graduated college where I studied psychology. Susie is an independent publisher. This is the first book that she's published. And of course, Sam, this is her first book to write as well. So we really, really, really appreciate your support. And it has been such a joy and truly so meaningful to come together with Susie and Sam to work on this book, and especially a book like this, which tells such an important story. So yeah, thank you so much to each and every one of you for supporting A Cat and Hell's Chance Lucky story. Now, Sam, why don't you treat us to another reading from the book?
Okay, right. So this part is when Beverly and Lucy first discover Lucky at the drain. After we had our evening meal in the restaurant, Lucy was keen to try the beach again. And thankfully, by now it was a lot cooler, and so we took a gentle stroll down to the seashore in the pleasant balminess of the evening. On our way, we passed a group of about 6 or 7 German tourists, and they were all crowded around something on the other side of the road from us. It made me wonder if someone had perhaps collapsed in the heat, as the tourists seemed upset and concerned. And being a nurse, I went over to investigate, just in case I could offer some assistance. As I got closer, I could see something small and white lying next to a storm drain by the roadside. It was a kitten. Its matted fur looked dirty and its eyes looked sticky. A can of half-eaten tuna was lying next to this pathetic little scrap. The group seemed very smartly dressed, and I assumed that they had been on their way out to dinner. I asked one of the women what was happening, but she just couldn't understand my accent. A young girl stood next to her, who I thought must be her daughter because they looked so similar. She could only have been about 10 years old, and standing there in her pretty floral dress, I could see that she had been crying. She appeared to be very distressed about the kitten. One of the men in the group was on his mobile phone, and I thought he was trying to get help for the little mite. Lucy was standing behind me and was starting to become upset. She thought the kitten looked so sad and helpless, but thinking that the Germans had everything under control, we went on our way to the beach.
Amazing. So a big, big round of applause silently for Sam, who tonight has launched her first book, A Cat in Hell's Chance Lucky Story.
Thank you.
So thank you to everyone for coming. Thank you to Angela from Agni, who shared all about Agni and how you can help. Thank you so much as well to Beverly, who is the star of the book and who rescued Lucky, and Misty as well. And thank you also to Sonia, who is Lucky's mum. Lucky's forever home, because Lucky now lives in Jersey, living her absolute best life. And we are going to share, just to finish off, we're going to share a little video of Lucky's life now. So thank you everybody for coming. You can stay on for a second if you'd like whilst we share the closing video. And yeah, keep up with Lucky's story. You can follow us on Instagram. It's A Cat in Hell's Chance, and also on Facebook. And I will email everybody. We will be emailing everybody with the full colour PDF of the book and some links to Synergy and Light and Agni. So thank you so much, everybody. Have a lovely evening, and please enjoy this video of Lucky living her best life.